I commonly run into people and they say, "Oh, I know all about the wheat belly diet. That's just a gluten-free diet, right?" Well, I know right away when they say that they've not read the books. Because those of you who have read the Wheat Belly books know that Wheat Belly is not a gluten-free lifestyle. And people who do follow a gluten-free lifestyle often make some very critical mistakes that very significantly can impact their health. So these are the three most common mistakes made when people think they understand what Wheat Belly is all about and think it's all about being gluten-free. The first mistake is that they eat gluten-free foods. That is, gluten-free foods, processed foods made with 4 ingredients to replace wheat and gluten. And those are cornstarch, rice flour, tapioca starch, and potato flour, which are awful, horrible for health. They send blood sugar sky high. They raise insulin resistance. They cause type 2 diabetes. They make major contributions to conditions like hypertension, heart disease, diabetes, dysbiosis, disruption of bowel flora, dementia, risk for dementia, cancer. In other words, those gluten-free foods made with those 4 replacement ingredients are plain horrible. Nobody should be eating them. You can be gluten-free, but you shouldn't be eating gluten-free foods. But that industry is growing at double-digit rates because people don't understand what they're doing, and of course the gluten-free industry doesn't tell you about all these problems. That's the first mistake many people make when they think they understand what Wheat Belly is all about. The second big mistake people make when they go gluten-free is that they don't recognize the harmfulness of other grains, grains that don't contain gluten. For instance, corn is a grain, of course, and it doesn't have gluten. It has a protein called zein that looks an awful lot like the gliadin protein within gluten, and it cross-reacts. In other words, if you have celiac disease, for instance, corn can reactivate your disease. This means the cornstarch in gluten-free foods, it's starch of course, but it can be contaminated by protein, zein protein residues, can reactivate your celiac disease. The rice does not have gluten in it, but it has another protein identical to the one in wheat called wheat germagglutinin. It's present in only modest quantities, but it is highly toxic. And if you have any kind of inflammatory bowel disease, like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's or irritable bowel syndrome or celiac disease, rice, even rice, the modest amount of wheat germagglutinin, this non-gluten protein, can reactivate your disease. So, and people fail to recognize that other grains, even without gluten or zein or wheat germagglutinin, all raise blood sugar sky high and screw up your bowel flora, cause dysbiosis and even small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which is a very, very serious problem we talk a lot about nowadays. And so don't make the mistake of thinking that just because a grain doesn't have gluten, therefore must be safe. It's not. And then the third mistake people often make is to fail to recognize that there's more to health than just diet. There are common deficiencies, for instance, that persist even after you go grain-free. It's not caused by the diet, it's because there are common deficiencies in modern life, like vitamin D. It's not caused by grain consumption, but if you had vitamin D deficiency before, while you're eating grains, it's going to persist after you eliminate it, and you should correct that. Iodine, if you live inland, because all the iodine's in the ocean. So there are common deficiencies that need to be corrected. And there's some other issues that need to be corrected. These are all described. I started this expanded program in Wheat Belly Total Health, that book, and then delivered to you in a menu-like program in the Wheat Belly 10-Day Grain Detox, and now with a fully expanded, more comprehensive program that I call Undoctored, in the Undoctored book. So this is all out there for you to explore, but recognize that the diet is powerful. Grain elimination is an incredibly powerful tool for weight loss and recovery of health. But there are additional steps to take if your goal is to obtain magnificent health that lasts a long time and full power over such things as weight loss and reversing inflammation.